my role in Cavan at the moment is I'm a hurling development officer in the county. And when I first went to the county, there was very limited awareness of what was going on within Cavan as when it comes to hurling. So I suppose my main aim as a hurling development officer was to try to create that awareness. And as I said, the title of my presentation is about social media as a tool in child games development. Now the one thing we have to be aware of when we're using social media is that children are under a certain age, I suppose, can't engage with it, and that's very important to reiterate. This is really about how you create awareness about our club, I suppose how you create awareness about maybe development squads, how you create awareness maybe of loads of different activities that might go on. Joey Carton said something last night that was very important. We do a lot of good things in the GAA, especially at national level, but at grassroots level, I suppose, and youth level, we don't advertise that enough and promote that enough. So I suppose this is where I suppose social media can come in as a tool in doing that. I'm just going to go through a brief history, just a small brief history about myself, because many people don't know me. As I said, I'm the hurling development initiative for Cavan GAA. Some people might say I have the hardest job probably in the country and probably the world. It's a bit like when you go to Kilkenny and try and coach football. So I'm there the last 2.5 years. As well as that, I'm the urban development coordinator for Waterford. I was back in 2011 for a couple of months, and I suppose that gave me a grounding within GAA, and I suppose working with grassroots level. As well as that, for my sins, I'm a Fermanagh GAA hurler, currently in pre-season training at the moment, and I suppose in that instance, I get to see the light, I suppose, of two different aspects. While coaching in Cavan, I can see, I suppose, with developing hurling counties, I suppose, the way they're treated, and then I suppose as a player within Fermanagh and how they are treated as well. So I can see that from both sides. As well as that, as Jimmy said, I won a junior hurling title this year, and I'm making a comeback for the intermediate team next year. So hopefully that will go well. Just again, the outline of today's presentation is social media and aiding the promotion and development of Gaelic games. As well as that, looking at Cavan hurling, the road not travelled. Okay, so we'll intertwine the two of them together and show how, I suppose, we've promoted over the last 2 years to increase the amount of children playing and youths playing the game. Okay, so the first question I ask you, did you ever hear the one about the Cavan hurler? Anyone here about the one about the Cavan hurler? No? No, well, the first thing was said to me that the only thing I heard about the Cavan hurler is the easiest team to get on and the hardest team to ever get off. So, unfortunately, I hope there's no Cavan people in the room. I didn't offend anyone, but that's, I suppose, when I came to Cavan, that's the first thing I heard. And the same can be said for a lot of development hurling counties. Not a lot of people hear about them, and that's, I suppose, something we need to change, I think. So ask the question, like, what is social media? Can anyone hazard a guess on what they think social media is? Maybe not, it's okay. Anyone know? Facebook, Twitter. Any application that you can interact with numerous amount of people on. So first thing we said it was an interaction among people in virtual communities or networks. Okay, so over Facebook, Twitter, etc., things like that. It's great for creating, sharing, and exchanging information with people. So the old forms of emails, the old forms of maybe text, the whole form of phone calls and things like that now can be done on a social platform. Okay, as well as that, it's very transparent. It's also very engaging and interactive. Okay, so you can use it to interact with people on numerous different in numerous parts of the country. Okay, so the question you ask yourself is, why do people social network? And anyone maybe hazard a guess at that?
Easy.
Huh?
It's easy.
It's easy.
It's easy to interact with people.
Handheld, isn't it? Bring it anywhere with you, things like that. Okay, so I came up with 3 or 4 reasons why I think people social network. Okay, so the main reason really, I suppose, is friendship, keeping in touch with people, developing new relationships, making new friends. Okay, so I've made hundreds and hundreds of new friends through social media. It might be a bit sad, I might never met them at all, but I suppose I've made plenty of new friends and made loads of new contacts through the hurling world, I suppose, and through the GAA world by using social media. It's extremely good for, I suppose, we said before, sharing photos, links, and interests with people. I think that's very important as well. As well as that, community. You can join community groups, follow things like the official GAA pages. Okay, so you can, I suppose, and charities and stuff like that. So people, I suppose, use social media to follow that and engage with them. So I suppose the question we ask ourselves is it a fad? Or is it a fundamental shift in the way we communicate? And I really think, I suppose, the new social world is a real fundamental way in the way we communicate with people on a day-to-day basis. The old static websites, and I suppose things that were very hard to use, and you might need an IT degree, I suppose, to actually use certain websites. We don't need it anymore with social media. So it's a real fundamental shift in the way we communicate. Just briefly going through some classifications of social media. I won't go too much technical into it. There's loads and loads and loads of different, I suppose, types of social media sites, and a lot of them are overlapping. So the big ones there obviously are Facebook, Stumble Upon, Twitter, Snapchat, and then I suppose more common ones people know and been around a long time, things like Hogan Stand. People can blog, share information, and people can, I suppose, have debates, and positive debates about the GAA. So we said a lot of them are overlapping, and the main one we use is, I suppose, in Cavan to develop the game and promote the game. It's Facebook. And we have a like page in Cavan, and we have about 2,500, 3,000 likes. Now, it's not massive, but what we try and do is we try and engage people, and we'll show you ways later on how we actually try to engage with people through social media. We also have a group page as well, and the group page, I suppose, is very good for people who maybe on an intimate basis want to find out more information about what's going on. So you can create smaller groups, possibly of maybe senior adult teams, senior players, under 21 players and things like that. And there is guidelines around certain issues and things like that, and we'll refer to that towards the end. Another one, a big one, is Twitter. I suppose everyone knows these ones, they're quite common. But we use Twitter as well. We have a Cavan Hurling Development Twitter account, and we post regular day-to-day activity. For instance, I'm actually tweeting at the moment, and I'm standing here. So I'm probably tweeting a few things and what's going on today, enjoy the day, etc. I suppose it's another way of interacting with people. And we have a couple of thousand people who follow us as well. As well as that, LinkedIn. We have a hurling development group on LinkedIn, so it's another platform we can use to promote the game of hurling within the county. A lot of professionals, people like-minded, will go on the types of LinkedIn. And one more then, I suppose, is YouTube. We use Cavan TV a lot, and I was on it a couple of times, and people thought it was like Marty Morrissey or something like that, and interviewing a few people. But we use YouTube a lot and Vimeo and things like that to share our videos up so more people can see it and get a good impression of what's going on the ground. So, there's some hands up people here, I suppose, to think that all this social media crack is a massive distraction. Yeah?
Can be, yeah.
It can be a distraction, can it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. You could probably spend too much time on it. Yeah?
Can be, yeah.
It can be now, I suppose, yeah. So you have to, have guidelines around it and how you use it. And hands up, I suppose, people think it's a massive development in the way we communicate. Probably everybody else. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so I think, as I said earlier on, websites, things are static, not moving. I suppose very hard to get information up, and people don't engage in them. People only want small snippets of information now of what's going on. They don't want to read the big thesis probably anymore. They don't want to read everything maybe that takes them a couple of days now. If you're doing a master's, doing something like that, yeah, or doctorate, yeah, you have to read things. But on a day-to-day basis, people only want small snippets of information. And I just come up with this maybe, pre-communication cycle within the GAA. And maybe I've been correct, I don't know. But what I see in the past is very one-way, two-way forms of communication with people. Your secretary, your PA, or your coach will contact your players through maybe a website or a text and get back yes or no answer. A lot of the times you weren't getting the answers back. You didn't know they were getting a message. You couldn't see how many people you were sending to, etc. And if we look at the future and the way people communicate, now this is a very basic diagram again, and it's kind of like a communication web, how people actually interact with people. And social media being at the very top of that. And we looked at the classifications earlier on and how many types of social media sites there are. It's emails, websites, phone, text, face-to-face, letters. There's loads of them. Obviously, I still think face-to-face and ringing someone is the most important one. But social media has a big part to play in that. Looking at building a communication network then, I suppose, if you want to actually put all this into practice, and looking at Twitter and Facebook as an example, it's very important under Twitter, if we're using a Twitter account, I suppose we're acting on behalf of a club. There's no point in saying something, for example, that you wouldn't say to someone else face-to-face. Okay, so if you're acting on behalf of a club, it's very important that you act in their best interests and don't hide under an alias. Okay, so you have a lot of rogue accounts, I suppose, and troll accounts out there, and people, I suppose, do post unpositive messages up there. Another great thing to use is things like hashtag. I suppose hashtags are very good for creating trends, creating awareness. People, journalists, things that follow certain hashtags. So we often, hashtag Cavan GAA, hashtag Cavan Hurling, and certain people will be looking to follow that and retweet that and share that. And a new one is hashtag Yam. I think some people here have to have a Yammer account. They can link their Twitter and Facebook into the Yammer newsfeed. As well as that then, Facebook, we talked about earlier on, great for building awareness, posting regular activity, looking at putting up pictures and running competitions. A great way of building awareness and increasing your fan base. As well as that then, we can link this activity to your club website, or official county website. And a lot of people may be doing that already, but if that leaves people maybe click onto your website and see a social news feed. They may not be a member of Facebook or Twitter, but they can see what's going on a day-to-day basis. It's not as I suppose, it's not as hard to upload it if it's a website or if it's a social media site. And then Yammer, which is a new GA communication tool. I'm not going to go much into it because I don't know much about it myself at the moment. So once again, it's very good for sharing information with your colleagues. This is probably a bit hard to see at the back. This is just, I suppose, an analytic view of the background of our Twitter account, and how we, suppose, interact with key stakeholders and what key stakeholders we use. We're looking for people. We're looking to interact with people who are going to retweet us, follow us, and share the information that we're putting out there. Obviously, we use Cavan County Board Twitter account first. Before we went into the job 2.5 years ago, Cavan didn't even have a Twitter account, or Cavan didn't even have a Facebook account when it came to GEA. And me starting off with a bit of resistance, starting up the hurling development groups and things like that, is soon quickly to realise that using Facebook, using Twitter was a great way of communicating with people on the ground. As well as that, then some of our most common ones there are Handcraft Hurleys, East Cavan Gaels Hurling, and the Camogie one as well. There they retweet us a lot. Fair play to them. Thanks very much. So as well as that, okay, very important to realise your audience is bigger than you might think. If one person in your club has a bit of a vendetta against someone else and they post something up, they may only have maybe 100 friends or 20, 40, 50 friends, same on Twitter. But if some person decides to retweet that or some person to share that, it's going to have a very, very negative outlook on your club. So it's very important to control anything that's going on in social media within your club or within your county. And just looking at some of the benefits of using social media for a GA club. A couple of weeks ago, I decided to, through my social network, to try and use my contacts to come up with some ideas for me. So the GA scores came up with some of these ideas for me. Obvious, look, a lot of these are very obvious. It's great for increasing club exposure. The more platforms you're on, the more people actually know what's going on in your club, and the more you can actually market it and communicate to the people at grassroots level. So that's a great insight about your players' databases. So maybe if it's development squads, whether it's senior players, you can add them in little groups and you can communicate to them that way, and you're going to know they're getting the message. People check their Facebook accounts sometimes even before they check their text messages. Great for a club for reducing expenses, things like advertisement. Now in the world that we're trying to cut costs and everything, advertising can be very expensive. So we can run campaigns on social media, I suppose, that can cut down on costs for advertisement. It can be very extremely targeted as well for certain people if you want to get in contact with individuals. It's a great way for strengthening player loyalty. A lot of players like to see themselves doing well. And we talked about fostering a development for children. Now, obviously, you're not going to post children up without permission and things like that, so that's something you have to be wary of. But for senior players and over 21 players and minor players, they like to see themselves doing well. They like themselves being promoted. And the local paper nowadays, I suppose, and the local newspapers and things like that, mightn't be putting in information all the time. So using things like social media will create a good bond within your players. But as well as that, it's a great way of increasing your website traffic. Looking at sponsors and competitions. People don't click onto websites as often as they used to. They click onto Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and LinkedIn, etc. All these different sites. You can start directing them to your website. It might increase the traffic that's taking place. And that will, I suppose, increase maybe looking at sponsorship and getting more competitions. I'm just going to talk a little bit about now, in between this, for anyone's interest, I suppose, in hurling development in particular. My job is a hurling development officer in Cavan. And we like to consider ourselves at the moment, I suppose, we're recovering, we're rebuilding, and we're trying to re-establish ourselves. A bit of a history and the background of hurling in Cavan. Here's a picture of Cavan, lovely. And I came up 2.5 years ago, and we had about 5 or 6 clubs. We're up to 10 clubs now in regions. And they're taking into account about 25 to 32 clubs. So we've tried to use social media and new forms of communication, I suppose, to spread the awareness of what's going on. And some of the background of it, in the past, obviously there's very limited financial, administrative and coaching inputs into developing hurling counties, and that's something I think needs to be addressed at a higher level. Development plan. There was no development plan when we went up there. No direction. There's very poor communication with clubs and schools, so that's where we use our communication system to try and increase that. Huge lack of coaching knowledge within the county to foster the development of hurling. Only the 4 or 5 clubs that were actually operating had actually qualified coaches. So the new clubs we were creating, we had to try and educate coaches there as well. Limited pathways for youth players to develop, so there was no development squads, very limited access to games for them throughout the year. So we had to create all these new things. And then the big one, and everyone hates this one, is loads of fixture clashes. So there was too many clashes with football fixtures throughout the year, and players not getting the opportunity to play. And that's what we're here today for, looking at ways that we can create a positive environment for people to play. And it's my belief that if we can create a positive environment for children and youths to play the game, they will play hurling and football. Looking at how we changed everything, and it was much a very rocky road away as we went on. How we did it, I suppose, at the start, as we said, there was removal of the county senior hurling team back in 2011. There was removal of the county hurling board, and there's a real fear of the reaction that would get within and without the county. So how we changed it, we looked to employ a full-time hurling development officer myself. We reformed the club structure. So we looked for a regional model instead of a one-club model. We looked to change people's mentality towards the game of hurling and restore confidence in that. As well as that, we developed a plan for the promotion of hurling, the Cavan Hurling Action Plan in 2011. And it's something I think we should look at in all developing hurling counties. I know we have a national plan, but I think it needs to come down more to the grassroots level. And we looked at providing a pathway for clubs to develop with the regional model. And then we restored confidence through improved communications procedures. So everything that was going out before about hurling in Cavan was negative, negative, negative. You've already heard the one about the Cavan team that went up to play a match up with Donegal, I think, and they only had 14 players, and they had the bus driver come out and talk out and play. So that wasn't a positive message going out about hurling. So we have to try and create more positive impact of stuff that's going on. And then obviously continue support from the hurling development community group. Looking at, I suppose, the relationship we have with Camogie in the county. Camogie is very strong in the county when we went in there, and Gerard Griffin's doing a lot of good work. So looking at the relationship we had between them. And within a hurling county like Cavan, you're probably not going to have the relationship you have with your football club. So we looked at creating a synergy with the Camogie clubs and creating new clubs in that way. So coach education workshops, school coaching and blitz days, primary teacher coach education, new hurling and Camogie club development, and then running hurling and Camogie camps. I thought that was very extremely, extremely important. Okay, so this is all led to us building from the base up. So then, obviously at the bottom we increased the amount of children playing by giving them more of an opportunity to play. At youth level, we try to improve our standards, providing a pathway for develop. And then adult level, which is the biggest one, and through improved communication procedures, which we'll look at back in a second, and how we do that is we try to motivate their change. Okay, so this is just an example of our development model here, what we use. Obviously, at primary school level, now we have loads of children playing hurling. We have 10 regional hurling clubs. Hopefully that's going to create 3 or 4 extra adult hurling teams. Okay. Just back to social media again. I'm hopping and skipping between each one, so don't mind if you don't understand. But first one is use regularly and post interesting material. A lot of these are common sense again, guys, but sometimes I see Facebook accounts by clubs and stuff like that, and it can kind of come out of control, and they're really plain and boring stuff. So it's about trying to engage with people on the ground and ask them questions, and use social media for that effect. And that's going to create a positive effect in your club. The first one, I just some snippets of some examples that I put up. We asked the question, what is a coach? A coach is a teacher, a mentor, a role model, sometimes a friend, and confident. Most of all, the coach must be positive. And putting up that as a form of education, I suppose, for people. So, a lot of people share that, like that, tweet that. So it's very engaging. It's trying to grab people in and get their opinions. As well as then creating things like polls and stuff like that. Creating polls for activities that are going on. I just put one up here. I don't know who won it in 2000. Who will win the National Hurling League? Kenny Tipperary draw. So it's just you can do anything. You can ask questionnaires, etc. It's a great way of engaging with people. Another thing as well is making sure that the content we put up is very positive and doesn't display, I suppose, a negative effect on your club or your county or whatever. First one here is just we had an activity day in Crow Park, and we have hashtag Cavan Loves Hurling. Okay, so it's just giving a good impression of what's going on in the county and things like that. And a lot of people, parents and stuff like that, and coaches and players would like that and share that. It'll actually build up your network. As well as that, we have Lee McCabe, our county secretary. holding a hurley and playing against our colourful hurling wall in Bethany Park. Any hurling coaches here, he's holding the hurley incorrectly, I think. I won't tell him that. But then again, I suppose that looks, changing the mentality of people at top level towards the game of hurling. As well as this, a very important part of social media is social media is not everything. You can spend all your day, as Colin said earlier on, you can spend all your time using social media and forget about the real world. So it's very important that we engage with key audience, local media as well. It's not just everything by putting things up on social media. You have to engage with, I suppose, the readiness of the formalities of the media at the moment as well. So just examples of how we did it. We linked in a lot with local radio stations, things like that, through social media. And this is just a report that was beaten Tyrone back in 2013. And as well as that, we use Cavan TV and things like that to post up videos, etc. And that's a great way of linking in with other media forms. This next one, social media is a tool in education. We're all here today, I suppose, to educate ourselves better as coaches. Now, I made a bit of a mistake on this one, actually, and I wonder if anyone points it out to me. The first person to point it out to me might get a wristband or something, or something like that. So if anyone can point out the hands up to get the actual, you can't tell me because you know it already. Okay, is anyone? So this is spot and fix through 4 simple steps. Hey, and I got that wrong, and I'm a hurling development officer, and I spelled it wrong. And I got plenty of stick for it, all right. So and at the end of that, then we just we add a little logo in there and add a little follow, so Cavan hurling and stuff like that. So great way of increasing the amount of people maybe like your page and stuff like that. As well as that, it's very important that we tag, retweet, follow, engage, interact, know and understand the actual software we're using. So a little crash course and things like that. So things like competitions, running competitions on your Facebook page, we set it on an excellent way of doing it. And then using influential sports people. So DJ Carey, yeah.
Can I ask a question now?
Yeah.
How does this affect on the ground?
Yeah, I'll talk about that in the end. Yeah, that's at the end. We'll tell you then. Yeah. Tip 6, great way, I suppose, of knowing your boundaries and the good and the bad. Okay, so obviously a very positive thing here, putting this up of a person hanging up a few jerseys. And the passion, dedication, and volunteers made the GA what it is. So it's just giving a good impression of social media. The next one, I suppose, is a bad example of social media. Now, I don't know if he's right or wrong, but it's a bad example of how we use social media. So you ready? It's not that bad now. It's not that bad. So they're not so good. So we blanked out the profanities. So if you're not from them counties, I'm sorry, but it's completely false. You know what I mean? It's completely wrong. What they're putting up is not really, I suppose, in good ethos of what the GA is all about. And it's something that we already shouldn't be putting up on social media sites. Okay. So just last couple of slides now, and you can ask some questions then, hopefully, about how we maybe impacted on the ground. Some words of advice: takes a lot of time. Know your boundaries. Always try and portray a positive message. Know the technology we said, and prepare to entertain many just from the chat. Okay, just referring to some of the best practice. The GA social media policy and guidelines is very important. If you're looking to set up social media sites, it's referred to this. And don't become too obsessed. I could be sent here now very shortly to a Facebook, Twitter, and social media clinic, and stop it. But it's been very effective for me, and I'll answer that question in a minute. And then the last thing, just to end on, I suppose a bit of a good news story. Tremendous response to the plight of a stolen puppy resulted in it being returned less than 48 hours after it was stolen. Misty, a Rottweiler Huntaway, cross puppy was stolen from outside an Auckland supermarket the weekend. If people can read faster than me, they probably have this already. But the dog's owner said that thanks to an article in the New Zealand Herald and a successful Facebook appeal, Misty was dropped off at Greyland Vet Care at 4 p.m. Tuesday, January the 7th. I couldn't be happier, said Misty's owner. I guess social media is a good thing after all. So I do think social media has a big part to play in how we promote our games and how we develop children at a younger age and how we promote that. Thank you very much. Thank you.